Hey guys, welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel, and whichever platforms you're listening to this on. I really appreciate you, and if you are a subscriber, thank you so much. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and if you're on YouTube, while you're at it, hit that like button. It's like walking into the room and hitting that light switch. We just want to go ahead and brighten up the place. Let's get into this conversation. I previously did a conversation talking about the alleged car chase that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle claim happened in New York City by paparazzi of over 2 hours, and how it's just being questioned. And some of the feedback from people who were familiar with the situation and those who were just in the New York area were really questioning the validity of the story. Well, recently it's being told that Harry and Meghan demanded, and this is in quotes, paparazzi footage of the car chase by an agency that they claim had the footage. And pretty much the agency responded with a royal FU. Now, they may not have said it literally, but figuratively, they definitely did. Because I believe they want the footage based on something that was shared with me, guys. The info that was shared with me is basically the reason this car chase is being described the way their spokesperson described it, is that they're trying to get international protection from his court case in the UK. Because if they are granted international protection plan from UK, then any country they visit, they will get security, and the countries that they are visiting or that they're in would have to pay the bill for the security. So that would mean that the U.S., we who are U.S. citizens, basically, we would be paying for their security with our tax money. It would go towards their security. So it's a way of trying to show the UK judge, hey, we were almost taken out by the paparazzi. It's dangerous here for us. We can't really function the way we need to without the security that we need. So it really needs to be granted. You should grant this request so we don't have to pay for our own security, but the countries will have to foot the bill. And I think that's bullcrap. But hey, like I said, I'm sharing information that was shared with me. But if that is true, because like I said, this is information that was shared with me, it would make sense as to why they would be trying to say that this situation happened the way that they say it happened versus what other people are saying. And then it's like, okay, why do you really want the footage? Do you want the footage so that you can hold on to it, so that they can't release it to show that it didn't really happen the way that it did? Because based on the information that's been shared by people, they're saying, yeah, we're not saying that they may not have felt uncomfortable or they didn't like the unwanted extra attention by the paparazzi taking extra footage or pictures of them as they got in the car. But were they really in a 2-hour car chase that was almost catastrophic? We don't think that is the case. So, according to the report, their legal team sent a demand to the agency saying, we hereby demand that backgrid immediately provide us with copies of all photos, videos, and or films taken last night by the freelance photographers after the couple left their event and over the next several hours. So their response is that they refuse. And what this outlet is writing, added insult to injury by taking a dig at them and the fact that they chose to leave the royal family. So their response is, in America, as I'm sure you know, property belongs to the owner of it. Third parties cannot just demand it be given to them, as perhaps kings can do. Perhaps you should sit down with your client and advise them that his English rules of royal prerogative to demand that the citizenry hand over their property to the crown were rejected by this country long ago. We stand by our founding fathers. So that was definitely insult to injury because they didn't have to go there, but they chose to give them a figurative royal FU because they're like, look, you don't have the right to demand anything from us, and there's no court case involved, so there's no subpoena. We don't have to give you anything, and we refuse. It's our right. We don't have to give you what we don't want to, and we're not giving it to you. So when that information was shared with me about the international protection plan and how they're basically trying to get a UK judge to grant them security funded by the citizens of whatever country that they're in, that to me sounds like that's what they're bucking to do, as well as what some people have alleged that, in my opinion, to me, it seems like it makes sense, where they're really trying to correlate what Harry's mom experienced and unfortunately was taken out by many years ago, and saying that that could have been them and it was almost them, when I don't believe that it was anything like that. And let's just be honest, at this point in time, even though they have the name and they're famous, both of them, to be honest with you, by association. Prince Harry's famous. He's not a celebrity, but he's extremely well known and famous because he is the son of a king. And like he calls himself a spare, because unless something tragic happened to all of the heirs, he would never be king, right? So he calls himself a spare. And so, yeah. And then Meghan, again, by association, because she's married to the spare. And all of the perks and privileges that she has now is because of her association with the spare. And what I mean by that when I say that is, she's still not a big celebrity, to be honest. They don't do that to Jay-Z and Beyonce. They don't do that to J-Lo and just other, big time celebrities that are out in that way. You may see paparazzi pictures of them leaving a restaurant or leaving from a coffee shop or things like that. They still get those images. They definitely do. But they're not chasing these people down, trying to get images of them. So this story, all of it, in my personal opinion, it just didn't make sense to me when I initially read it. And like I said, when I did my previous conversation, when I initially heard about it, when I just heard about it, it was like, oh my God. But then when I read and it said the statement by their spokesperson, I questioned it because it wasn't a neutral party that said they were in a near catastrophic collision. It was someone that is associated with them. So of course they're going to make them out to be the victims in the situation. Did it really go down that way? And based on the, I believe, credible feedback of the cab driver, the NYPD officers, even the mayor of New York, and even just other people who are from New York, like Whoopi and Joy Behar, they were talking about it on The View. They said that they doubted the claims of it. And even Joy Behar is like, yeah, there are plenty of times I've heard an ambulance with the sirens going off. And I'm like, yeah, they're probably, that person who needs that is probably not going to make it, because who knows if the ambulance will make it there in time wherever they are. And that really does make sense. So when I got that information and just seeing the things that are coming out now, I just said, you know what? This doesn't make sense. And now that I know this information, that they're really bucking for paid security that they don't have to pay for themselves. Not that they can't afford it. I believe they can afford it. They just don't want to pay for it themselves. And they don't want to have to downsize their living because they bought the $14 million mansion in Montecito, California. And she just signed on with this big global management agency. It's not like you can't afford to pay for it. You guys can pay for it. But what would be better than to have someone else fitting the bill, because that's what they're used to. They left the royal family because they said they didn't want to be a part of it anymore for a number of different reasons, whether those reasons are true or not. But in my opinion, I feel that they really wanted to have the perks of that lifestyle, but they didn't want the responsibilities that go along with living that lifestyle, as well as Meghan really wanted to be A-list Hollywood celebrity, and she's never been that before. This gave her the opportunity to do that by getting married to Harry. So it's like, let's take a chance. Why not? You only live once. Let's get the hell out of here. It's not like you're ever going to get to be the king anyway, so let's just do it. And that's what they did. But they still want to have the perks of having someone else handle and pay for their security, in my personal opinion. And after I got that information that was shared with me, I said, okay, yeah, that actually is making even more sense as to why they're trying to make the scenario stretch out the way that they're trying to make it look. And so I don't really buy it. And I know a lot of people who are Meghan lovers and supporters, they feel that if you say anything that is either just seen as negative, even though it's just your view on the situation and it's not a glowing cheer or support of them or agreement with everything that they say and they do, that means you're a hater of them. No, it doesn't. It just means that what they're putting out in, what they're trying to sell, we're not buying it. And that's all that it is. And so a lot of people have things to say about Bethany Frankel because she shares a lot of her opinions that are not asked for. But hey, she's a public figure. She has the right to do it. You can not agree with her. You can agree with her. You can not listen to her. You can listen to her. But she was speaking about it on her social media. And she said that basically at this point, Meghan Markle just needs to become a housewife for reality TV because that's the way it's looking. She said, I swear to you, this woman needs to get on Housewives. And she said that when it comes to what is going on right now, she said, just be a housewife, lean in, be infamous because it's not going that great. You alienated your base of fans. And she says that sometimes you get too far in and don't know which way to go. They're swimming halfway between Cuba and Florida, and they don't know whether to go back or keep swimming. So they just keep swimming, and we hope they don't drown. So, and Meghan's actually someone that she said, meaning Bethany, she used to be on her team because she felt like she was a woman of the people, so to speak. But after all of the things that have been going on over the past several years, she just kind of fell out of her favor. And it's her right to do that, again. But when it came to this alleged catastrophic car chase, her also being someone who is very familiar with New York City, questioned the validity of it. And it just didn't make any sense. Being someone that is from the city, who's lived in the city many years, she just was like, you don't hear about mega superstars having experiences like this. And this is what I said as well. She said Taylor Swift, Beyonce, J-Lo, Justin Bieber, Harry Styles, you don't hear about them having similar experiences. And then she said, what's going on? Is Mr. Magoo and Elmo, who their publicist is, someone control the beast? And so she's basically saying, whoever this person is that said that they saw what they saw clearly can't see, because if you're not familiar with Mr. Magoo is this old cartoon character from years ago where he couldn't see. He had these thick glasses on and he couldn't see anything. But anyway, he was just pretty much blind as a bat. But when it comes to this situation, the NYPD officer actually said, don't believe everything that you read because it didn't happen that way. So I don't think these people have a dog in the fight. Why would they want them to look bad or lie about the situation or try to downplay it? For what? I mean, for what? It's not like someone that knew of a possible terrorist threat and they're trying to cover it up and they don't want to let the people know. So they're just saying, there's nothing to see here. Just keep moving on. Don't worry about anything. All is well. This is something that doesn't affect anybody but them. So no one really has a reason to lie about it not being as bad as they were trying to say that it was. So the reason I just decided to talk about this again was because the information that was shared with me about what they're trying to do in terms of getting international protection paid for by others, that to me just really summed it up for me as to what they're bucking for. And then to have Prince Harry speak recently after this alleged incident to say he never understood as much what his mom went through until that recently happened. And to me, I feel like that's a slap in the face, because for those who are familiar with that situation, that was like a real car chase, like legit. I really don't know what the driver of the limo that Princess Diana and her boyfriend were in was thinking to even do that. But that was absolutely crazy. Now, yeah, the paparazzi were wrong too, but I do believe that the driver of their limo contributed to that happening 100%. Yeah, the paparazzi were wrong for chasing them down, but that, I believe, didn't have to happen the way that did, and his mom could probably still be alive today if it were not for the driver of that limo, because they had cameras. They didn't have weapons coming after them. Like, it was just absolutely crazy. To this day, I still never understood that. I was much younger when that happened, but I still never understood that. It was like people with cameras were in cars following them, not people with weapons. I understand wanting your privacy, but my God, that just was crazy. So the driver definitely contributed to that. So for Harry and Meghan to make it out like paparazzi were chasing us, sit still, cover your faces and call the police and say that you're being stalked or something. But to put yourself in danger in that way, which I don't believe that happened in their situation, but in his mom's situation, that definitely is something that contributed to them losing their lives. So that has to be considered as well. So I just wanted to talk about that, guys. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you feel that they're playing this event up because that is the reason they're doing it, is because they want paid for security at all times whenever they're out, that they don't have to pay for themselves? Kind of makes sense to me. So thank you guys for being here. And thank you for liking and subscribing to the commentary, to the channel. I am Beth. I'm just being beautifully honest. So until the next time, I just wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.